Hello, my name is Jen Rombalski and I'm the Director of the La Crosse County Health Department. I'm also the Health Officer for the County of La Crosse. And in that role, I'm coming to you today to talk about the campgrounds and an announcement that I'd like to make that we will allow for a partial reopening of campgrounds. So to start with, I just want to identify that it is a significant role that I have in order to assure that we are balancing between the risk of community spread with COVID-19 and the needs of our community. So when we think about the risks of community spread, in alignment with campgrounds, one of the most significant risks we are worried about is the ability for individuals who might be coming from outside of our county to be at a campground, and then the potential congregate areas at a campground where we might have community spread occurring amongst individuals. In order to balance that with the needs of our community, which what we've seen is that there are individuals who live at campgrounds, that is their either seasonal or partial year home or residence. There are many people who call this their primary residence between the months of April and October. There are those that might be seasonal campground users who don't have alternate housing. And also there are individuals who are considered frontline workers or essential workers. So those might be individuals who work at the healthcare systems or our healthcare providers. They might be police, fire, emergency services, individuals who may need to isolate or quarantine themselves if they've been exposed or think that they may have COVID-19 or actually are diagnosed with COVID-19. Having the option to be at a campground will allow for them to isolate or quarantine themselves away from their family in a way that will assist with decreasing the spread of COVID-19. So because of those reasons, we are going to authorize a partial reopening of campgrounds. So I'm now going to go into some of the details about that partial reopening. The order will officially go into effect tomorrow on April 24th and will be in effect through the end of the timeline for Executive Order number 28, which is the Safer at Home order extension that we heard about late last week. At this time, that order is set to expire on May 26th. So some of the details of the partial reopening include that this would be for independent campsites only. There would be no tents allowed at this time. So that means that an independent unit must have access to water through water tank or hookup and have its own waste disposal system. We also would indicate that seasonal camping units would be completely independent, as I mentioned, that no more than 50% of the total campground capacity can be occupied at any given time. Priority should be given to those that I already spoke about with regards to individuals or households that use the campground as their primary source of residence for the summer months, or seasonal campers that don't have alternate housing available. Those that are essential workers in La Crosse County who either live or work in La Crosse County and don't have other housing options. First responders and others who may need to use the campground for quarantine or isolation, and others with permission from myself or my designee. Operators are already aware of this information and will be working with campgrounds when they arrive. In particular, if campers. If campers are from out of county, they will notify us so that we can advise about a quarantine. So say, for example, I'm coming into a campground to La Crosse County from a different county or a different state. We would want to make sure that they are quarantining themselves in their camper on the campground property for 14 days to avoid, going out and potentially exposing others if they are asymptomatic and haven't yet developed symptoms or other things that are happening there. So for that reason, we want to make sure that campers who are coming in, meeting these requirements, are already coming in with everything that they may need, particularly if they're coming from out of county, everything they may need for 14 days so they don't have to go out and get propane or groceries or other things that they might need to be in the camper. Social distancing requirements will remain in place and groups continue to be limited to 10 or less. Visitors will not be allowed to the campground or the campsite, and there are additional campground rules, and we'll provide a link for you to see those. And again, all of the campground owners and operators are aware of this information. So I'll just reiterate, this is currently in effect, or will be in effect starting tomorrow, April 24th, and will be in effect through the extension of the Safer at Home order, which is currently set to expire on May 26th. That is Executive Order number 28. I just want to say that we are, again, trying to balance the needs of our community. We appreciate hearing from those in our community who need campgrounds for the reasons I've previously described, and that if we work together and continue to have good cooperation with each other, that we'll be able to decrease the spread of COVID-19 to include a partial reopening of campgrounds, and we'll be able to continue to consider next steps for returning to our baseline prior to COVID-19, of course, with always having the hand washing, the covering your cough, and other measures that will become part of our new baseline. So with that, I will just say thank you for all of your feedback, and let us know if you have any questions about the order.